I think social media in law firms can be a good thing, so long as you've got the protection in place and so long as you've taken proper measures and thought about how you're going to manage it. Otherwise, I think it's a dangerous tool. So I think it's important to sort of think and have a plan if you're going to allow access to social media as to how you're going to manage it, monitor it, etc.
Well, social media in law firms is a double-edged sword, really. On the one hand, you've got the risk of it being misused and lots of time spent using it either in hours or out of hours. The other end of it, of course, is the positive side of being able to use it for marketing and business development.
I think LinkedIn is probably the most common form of social media that law firms use because it's good to promote. You have lots of your clients on there and they can read what other clients have said about you, which is always a great advert, and it will help generate business and raise your profile. So I think LinkedIn is very good. We do have certain departments having Twitter accounts and updating frequently, which again is a good thing. But generally, I would say we're sort of steering away from the Facebook and going more towards professional social media.
We use social media for informing about events, what our people are actually doing, general news about the sort of professional services industry as well.
We have managed to generate a couple of clients from Twitter, high-profile clients that just happen to have been looking at our account and following us at the right time, and it led to work. So absolutely, it is a good thing.
There are risks in using social media. It's instant, it's out there, hit return on the keyboard, it's there, and it's not just within your little small domain or your friends, it's global.
The other problem is probably, again, very common, which is people putting comments up which may not be so explicit about how their firm is awful, but it could imply that they're not happy at work. And if a certain number of people know where they work, and then you're saying things like, had a rubbish day today, or my boss is a nightmare, things like that are a worry, obviously, because it could massively impact the firm's reputation out there.
The social media scene had really started to focus the mind on, we don't know what's going on all the time, and how do we mitigate the risk that that brings with it.
The thing with social media is you can put a posting up, it's going to hit however many people in seconds. You're not going to be able to measure that damage, first and foremost. And if you're looking at a legal claim, you have to measure damage, because that's what the tribunals and courts are going to look at. What is your loss? What loss has been caused to a company from having a posting about it? And how are you going to measure that? So to that extent, having technology that will prevent a posting in the first place is always going to be a great thing, because the damage is then prevented.
I was introduced to NetBox Blue by a good Australian friend of mine who suggested I have a look at it, as it was a good hot product out there. I hadn't heard of it at all, so he told me a bit about what it did. So we arranged to have a look at it, and I was pretty impressed. And it did lots of things other than just social media. So it was about filtering of email, intrusion prevention, straightforward firewall stuff, lots and lots, just a whole total internet control box, really. In terms of social media, obviously there's the safe chat options in there, so how do we monitor and detect if people are abusing these social media methods? And it's quite unique that it will take all these different, the Facebooks, the Twitters, and bring it down to a common means of scanning and identifying what words are being used. So that's fantastic.
I would say that social media in general is absolutely something that we cannot run from. It's going to grow even more than it already is, and I think in particular for a law firm like Taylor Vinters, which has got a very big technology client base, it would be insane for us not to jump on that bandwagon. I think we would probably lose business and not really have the reputation of a firm that's up there with the others. So I think social media is something that we cannot escape. and neither should we.
My 5 tips for using social media in a law firm are: number 1, that you need to have very clear policies about how it's going to be used and what's permitted and not.
Number 2, raise awareness of that social media policy. Do not slip it on the intranet and think people are going to notice. Don't even send an email around saying we've added a social media policy, please read it. Go further. Send the social media policy round as part of a memo that goes to all staff, from secretaries all the way up to the top, that says, here is a social media policy, please read it, please sign this page saying you've read and understood it, and if you have any questions at any time about social media, here is who you should go to.
From an IT infrastructure point of view, you need to have the tools there to monitor it and report and alert to back up the policies that you're going to have in place.
Once you've raised awareness, train about it, update it, okay? You cannot just have a policy and leave it in place and think you've ticked the box. Social media is an area that is growing by the minute, and you need to take account of that when you're updating your policy. You then need to not think, I'll just train the managers or the IT guys about it, and not go down and train the secretaries or the lawyers or any. I think it needs to be training across the board so that everybody knows what is and isn't acceptable.
Number 5, you do need to enforce, those policies. They've got to be done in a consistent manner. It's very easy to be inconsistent, and then everybody knows where they are with it all, and it can work as a good business aid.